So our first presenter today is Lee Christensen. He is a third-year undergraduate student doing the Bachelor of Science degree in the Faculty of Science and Engineering. His supervisors are Joe McVeigh and Bing Pang, and that project is titled, here we go, let me click on that, A Day in Motion.
So, as you said, it's called A Day in Motion. It's all about showing activity patterns over the course of a day. So, lay some groundwork. I've got a definition there. So, physical activity is any bodily movement produced by skeletal muscles that requires energy expenditure. So, it's going to be most of what you imagine, you know, walking and running and whatnot. Also, standing too takes energy to stay up. Now, Australians generally don't get enough physical activity, and it can be problematic because it can cause heart issues and just generally increases the chance you're going to die, unfortunately. So of course, that motivates a lot of different things, including better visualizations to communicate this. So traditionally, if you want to find out about someone's physical activity, you ask them, right? With a survey, you might ask, how much time did you spend sitting, or how much time did you spend exercising, and whatnot. Unfortunately, people forget, and also the time you spend exercising is just a lot more memorable. When you spend sitting, sometimes you just don't remember how much, right? So accelerometers, they're objective, and it's just a lot more straightforward. They don't forget, and you can kind of see in that diagram that they measure 3 axes of acceleration. There's a x, z, and y. I've got these images are of the same accelerometer. You can see it here. So this one's called a SENS. Sorry, the brand is SENS, and it just goes in a patch that sits on your thigh. And I bring up this one in particular just because what we ended up making is just based around this specific sensor. It doesn't actually work with other ones at the moment. So what we'd really want to be able to take from these accelerometers is how much energy you expended. But we can't. Unfortunately, there is no function to take that and figure out how much energy you expended. However, there are a bunch of different metrics that we've got to get something similar, like get how intense your activity was. One such metric is called NMO, or Euclidean norm minus 1, and essentially you're getting the amount of acceleration, and then you're offsetting for gravity. I've got a little asterisk there, but don't worry about it. Later on, you'll see the term intensity used, but just know that if it says intensity, it means NMO. Okay, so just a final bit of background. Don't worry about the specifics of this one, but this is just what you might expect of existing visualizations. So the main thing that we wanted to iterate upon compared to visualizations like these is how intuitive it is. Because at the base level, what's going on is that someone's moving. But what you've got here is something abstracted away from that. You've got these blocks of activity types. And myself personally, when I look at a visual like this, I don't, for example, jump to like a specific time and wonder what they're doing, because that's just not what its purpose is. The purpose is that you have a squiz and you see roughly how much of those pink blocks, how much of those yellow blocks. So it can be useful, but again, a bit unintuitive. And we'll see how what we ended up doing a bit different. Okay, so we start, and again it says intensity, but it is NMO. So it's it's taking 1 minute intervals and it's averaging them, else there'd just be way too many data points. So you can see that, it's pretty straightforward what's going on there. On the right here, we've got a character, and essentially, SENS makes a prediction every 5 seconds of what the person was doing. And so we look at all their predictions in that minute, and we see what was most frequent. And that's what we show. However, what we found was that, you know, people don't like run for like a minute straight, so that would just get drowned out. So we did bump up certain actions that would otherwise get drowned out. But yeah, that's what you're seeing there. And then here's the whole thing. You can see a time there, and we've got step count 2. It's not the step count since the start of the day. It's since the start of what you can see, which in this example would be 9:10 a.m. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 2 qualities that we really wanted to emphasize. So the first one is it being interactive. So with that other visualization I showed, it was static. You can't really interact with it. But it's good having it be interactive, so you can have a play around, and you know, if you're curious about something, you can look into the data a bit deeper, right? So the most obvious way to do this is with the ability to zoom. So hold on, I've got a pointer. Okay, it's not working. So if you think about this as the day, this is the start of what you can see, and that's the end of what you can see. For example, it would be from like 8:19 a.m. to 5:39 p.m. But we thought it's a bit hard to use, so more intuitively you can just drag over, and if you let go, you'd zoom in, right? There's also a bunch more bits and bobs up here. I'm not going to go into it for the sake of brevity, but they are also there. The other thing, big one, was animation. So I mentioned how, you know, with these existing visualizations, you're not thinking about the specific activities, and I also mentioned how, one second, let's see again. Oh, right, it's fairly abstracted away from the underlying thing you're measuring, because what you're measuring is someone's motion, right, their activity. So animation helps bring that back into picture and close that gap. So, you know, for one, there's the character being animated, so there is that strong connection since we're kind of recreating the motion. And then, of course, it's being displayed with respect to time as an animation. And then the other thing is that you're kind of forced to look at a point in time and guesstimate what they were doing at that point in time. You know, you look at the intensity, you look at the character, you look at the time, and you think, I reckon they were doing X, Y, or Z, or maybe you knew what they were doing. And so, over the course of the day, you build up this timeline in your head of what they were doing, and you have a more nuanced view of their activity. So to make it a bit more concrete, I do have some examples. So this is a Wednesday of a boy. Now at this time, it's if it points correctly, it's like 12:40 a.m. So not much is going on. They're asleep. The intensity is quite low. At about 6:50, they're going to wake up, and you'll see that they start to walk slowly. I reckon that they're getting ready for school, right? I've chosen this interval later on, and you know, it's a bit before 12. They're sitting down. It's a Wednesday, right? We can see that their intensity is quite flat for a while. I think that they had a class, right? Then there's a final thing. Later on this day, they had rugby practice from 6 to 8:30, and you can see also it is sped up, so the animations are fighting for control. But yeah, you can see how the intensity is quite large, and again, you really can see how you really do not keep up the same level of intensity for big old blocks. It goes in and out. Oh, and it's reset, but he does actually rack up 12,000 steps over that period. That's quite a few. So we can't currently compare 2 days at the same time. So I've just got these screenshots here to show you like what an intense versus not so intense day looks like. So on this Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I think, he had a rugby match, and yeah, there's quite a large intensity during that period, and I think overall he racked up 35,000 steps. And on that Sunday, no such activities. When the intensity is higher, it just spikes for just a little bit because there's no blocks of activity, right? And he racked up, I think, 10,000 steps on that day. Okay. A lot of different directions to go from here, right? The most obvious is to actually use it. So that's what I've got for application. So it would be used, I suppose, similar to what exists, where you want to either have the participant or client understand what their activity was like, right? Try to overwrite whatever impression they have in their head. Or maybe you want to look at it and try and find time to fit in activity. So who knows, maybe researchers or coaches or clinicians could want it. It's open-ended. Another thing is being able to add your knowledge of what the person was doing onto it. Because as it stands, SENS, they've got like a limited set of what they can predict, right? If you did something and SENS can't predict it, then you're never going to see it. You know, for example, if you knew that you were swimming from like 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., it'd be nice to put that on the graph so that you can see it and be reminded of it. Another thing is, as I mentioned, it only works with one brand of sensor. And that sensor goes on the thigh, and we're relying on their classifications, which they do with a closed source algorithm. So it'd be nice if we could use a different brand, perhaps even ones on the wrist and elsewhere, and also use our own algorithms. And I briefly talked about it on the previous slide, but we cannot show multiple days from the same person yet. It'd be very nice to do that. Also multiple people on the same day animating at the same time, that would be nice too. A lot of different things, right? Anyway, that is all. And thank you to my supervisors for all the help, and thank you for watching. Yes.